You too? What? Hi. Show today, copyrighted. Alright. I really do hope this song gets copyrighted. So, oh, thank goodness, you know. That was a lag. Oh no. Why is there a... Oh, what's me? I'm bored. Oh, oh. Nice. First to 23. Silver. Yeah. Oh, hi, Martian. I'll keep playing SFS though. What? What are you making? I'm just continuing to work on my space station. I made a docking hub thing. Looks kind of weird. God, I hate these antennas. Looks so bad. Why are the ports so thin? They aren't that thin. This is what it would look like if I used the normal size. Why does that look kinda better? Look at Donkey Kong. Did we see a static fire today? Oh, we can have some got to be. It's right on the ground. Oh, I'm so good. Oh,
October they did one, and then another one in January. So they did only twice last year out of 160 something launches that they did of Falcon 9. That goes to show just how ridiculously unlikely it is for Falcon 9. Now imagine Super Heavy, which is
oh,
probably
very
even more unlikely.
well,
Possible, but
Indeed.
highly unlikely.
I mean, technically, our
that's
booster is
I
going to be expended if they can't bring it back to the launch site. So,
Well, yeah, but that's a whole different thing than for performance purposes, right? Like
yeah.
that's more like, oh, we
you
cannot
guys saw nothing.
do any return to the launch site or anything like that. Then sure,
The
offshore divert.
only component I could think of you would might need to expend the booster but keep the ship like
Oh,
fully intact would be like
oh shit.
nuclear reactor
Oh,
components, basically. If it weighed enough and it took up enough room, that's about the only thing I could think of. Um, that would require that because I mean, like, the nuclear material is pretty heavy. Um, so
okay.
if
I
you're
think I
packing
burned
on that
a
weight
little bit
component,
too early.
it's possible that you might need more.
And we have gotten an update from the Starbase website that says that there is a new beach closure, primary closure period
I
for
swear to God,
2024, which is
No time.
Friday.
they better not be
With
launching on
no
Friday.
time listed, which is incredibly interesting and curious. And yeah, what are they? What on earth is this for? Is
Oh,
this
the
I don't
going to
know.
document
be?
actually has. I was gonna
That
say the
doesn't.
document does have a time window, so it will be from noon to 9 p.m. Which, mind you, it's actually closer to what you would expect for launch window.
Yeah,
For the road closures of the launch day.
but
Tomorrow is
interestingly,
still.
on the website, yeah, the primary closure for tomorrow is still up. But I would not be
Bro,
surprised if we see some sort of change there. But whether or
right.
not this is, I mean, it's filed as a primary closure, but so is tomorrow still. Hopefully, in the next maybe half hour or so, they'll update some of their news get a better idea of whether or not, or of where just tomorrow stands. Um,
Oh
but
shit.
they are still loading prop on Booster 20, and we're already getting notices about this. So I don't know what exactly
Hmm.
this
I
means, but it's a big head scratcher for sure.
I think I think they're putting that closure in
Um,
for Friday as a okay. We're going this in one way or the other. We'll likely try for Friday.
third time's the charm.
Um, but if for some reason something doesn't work well today, they can always test again tomorrow with 20. Um, but I would
And this is
expect
not
that
for Booster 21. I'm already seeing people assuming that
no,
this is
like
No.
beach closure. This is like
for flight.
launch site stuff.
Yeah.
And also Peak 21 is already like on its way back to the mega base. So it's nothing related to Mexico or anything like that.
No. I would expect tomorrow's closure to be amended to be 12 to 9 after Booster 20 test, and they're confident that they are going to shift over tomorrow.
Okay.
So basically, they do the test, they double check, make sure everything's good, roll the ship, um, go to stack it, closure gets changed, everything's good.
Hey
Unless for
Ryan,
some reason they
I
change
have
it.
a question.
Yeah.
So the closure window for tomorrow does not line up with what we've seen on normal launch days. Normal launch days for the afternoon windows lines up from anywhere from like 11 a.m. or noon to 9 p.m. Tomorrow's closure is from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m., which more lines up with a testing window like we've seen today. Although today's was 9 to 11, I think. Um, so that I don't know. That seems like maybe if testing goes well, are they modifying tomorrow for a static fire, perhaps of some sort, or are they just keeping that there in the event that if all goes well today, that they can just modify the closure for tomorrow for launch?
I think it's just to modify tomorrow. Remember, SpaceX is still saying tomorrow. They
Yes.
are their website and their countdown clock, which I mean, whatever the countdown clock on that one, because it doesn't really become that important for Starship launch until we get to T minus 12 hours or so. Um, but basically, that is still set for 29 hours, 40 minutes, and 16 seconds till the opening of the window tomorrow. They're still targeting for the 23rd of July as per their website. So my guess is that you're going to get a change in the closure tomorrow, and that's how that'll work. They'll just change some things. It'll go from 7 a.m. to like 11 a.m. or however many seconds that will do to 9 p.m. So you just got to change, just basically bring it forward. Um, just bring that time forward to 12, and then that's it. Everything else, other than those two things being put into place, if this test goes well, modify today's closure, roll it, stack it, launch is done. Get it out the door. That's fine.
Fingers crossed then for that tomorrow, because we've been waiting long enough. I mean, it's taken them a week to get back to us.
Sweet
Making
Jesus.
sure that everything is ready.
Hold on.
And usually at this point in a stream, we would say, put in chat. Oh, great timing. Usually at this point we would say, put in chat where you're watching from, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do something different. I'm going to do an experiment. I'm going to see if it works even better. Put in chat your method for heating up water for tea. And if it's microwave, sort yourself out. I want to make sure that everybody in chat is saying that they use a kettle properly to heat up the water for their tea.
Who drinks tea?
Right.
I don't know.
I will say this. When I heat up water for, like, if I do hot chocolate or stuff like that, I have an electric kettle I use for that. I'm not gonna microwave
Thank you, Ryan.
water.
I think you deserve an award for that.
Really? All right.
I'm sorry, I'm not gonna wait for. First of all, I don't drink tea, but whatever I have to warm up, I don't do it on a kettle or anything like that. Of course, I don't have one. But also,
I think I put too much solar panels.
I like getting the things warm quickly, and
Well,
the microwave does that in like less than 2 minutes. So who
my
cares?
electric kettle does it in like a minute. So
Those always trip me out, just how quickly that they can boil water. Hey, updated photo
it's
from
an
Jerry. Look at
induction.
this.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, it's an induction electric kettle, so it does it in like a minute, and you don't have to wait long.
Good for
I've
you. I
seen
just had hot cocoa like an hour ago, and you were probably not hearing me for like 5 minutes. If I had done that on a kettle, it would have probably been 10. So thank you.
I've seen a couple of people in chat say that they use the oven, which is a unique
What?
but
And
What?
surely that would take even
What?
longer. Yeah, I'm not sure about that one
I am
personally, but
okay then. I mean,
Like it's
hey,
that's
if
like
it
the
works,
meme
it
where it's like
works. You
I
know.
mean that no, that's like the meme where it's like if you use an oven to heat up water, it's like right to jail right away. Right to jail.
well, I wasn't going to say it, but Okay, then. So we have a few more people joining us, as you would expect, as the fueling process progresses. We now have a good chunk of
Oh,
oxygen in the oxygen tank, a little slither of methane in the methane tank, but of course they've got that huge transfer tube downcomer, as Jack Fire loves us to call it, through the liquid oxygen tank full of liquid
Down
methane.
tuber.
Down tuber. Ryan, where are we about in the process? When are we looking for a potential test time T0, whatever you want to call it?
I'd say in about within the next 10 minutes. I'd say about 10 minutes from now, so maybe a little bit sooner than I thought, but I'm still thinking around 12:20, 12:22. Sometimes they like to hold for a little bit with these tests and whatnot. So we're getting pretty close here.
Absolutely. Another question here. We have a question from Zynonox07. Why does the ship perform a flap test before each static fire, and why doesn't the booster perform a grid fin test? Alex, I will toss that one in your direction.
I don't know.
Because it wants
It
to.
yeah. They just feel like it. It's like, yeah, I'm gonna flap my flaps. Yeah. I don't know,
I'm
to
gonna
be
say
honest.
hi,
It's
Corey.
one of those things that were introduced. What was it on version 2, right? It
Yeah.
it's not even new to version 3. It's like it was introduced on the previous version. They did not use, like, for version 1. They used to do flap checks and like grid fin checks as well, but that was like maybe hours before launch. They started doing that after version 3. No, that's not a light on the cockpit. That's just for protection of the seat.
It's at the perfect angle for a regular flight.
Good point. Much love for this addition of directly boosting up rockets.
I think it's pretty cool.
I can assure you
There's
there's
no
not a Skyper, there's not a Skytech trained
It's
on
not a laser.
boosting weapons.
or the other way around. There's no lasers on the cockpits.
Yeah.
Just next to it, right next to it, we were seeing some actually. Oh, we were seeing some ice. There we go. Yeah, we were seeing some ice forming on the starboard side as the vehicle was falling back over there. Water seemed to be present on on the hydrogen side, but of course it's going to be kind of contracting and then little bits of ice break off and you get to see them falling down the side of the vehicle, which is pretty cool.
I always love the flow of the clouds coming off of the frosty part of the booster,
Yeah.
especially when it's windy out. It looks cool. It's like mesmerizing, like borderline hypnotic.
It really makes the vehicle feel alive, which I mean it
It
is.
does.
It's being filled to not the brim this time, but on a launch day, it's filled to the brim with cryogenic prop, and that makes something come alive, and it's really cool to see. Uh, the
oh
frost
shit.
start to
Oh
disappear.
shit.
I'm very grateful that the steel is not painted because it makes the frost so much easier to see.
Yeah, HLS
Uh,
Starship's gonna be fun because it'll be painted
yeah,
white.
that's a great point. We are rapidly approaching that T0 test time for all of the Ts, but we did get some support in the last few minutes, so I will rattle through that as quickly as I can. Uh, Dwayne, thank you for upgrading to Capcom. You now get access to our wonderful Discord server where all sorts happens uh, behind the scenes.
Brilliant.
Phil Douglas, thank you for your support, but that message is just so terrible. I will not even give you the pleasure of reading that out because that is just disgraceful. Steve, thank you for your
What in
support.
the world?
I'm sorry, what?
What was that? I'm sorry. What was that last one? I'm sorry. I
Microwaving
Yeah,
caught
I'm
that
not
at the
soda.
reading
very
it
end.
out. I
It,
refuse to
it
read it out.
it's micro soda. Whatever.
Good grief.
Thomas, thank you for your support. On ship during flight, what's glowing red in the engine bay? Is that normal? If you were talking about the previous flight, then they did kind of lose an RVAC, so
Alright, guys.
If the ship
One message.
still headed in the correct
Booster has TPS tiles. Thermal injection system tiles. Very similar to the ones that are on the ship. Right? Let me just play the picture of the booster. Yeah. Like it's got
always in chat with your $25 super. Very, very
Looks
appreciative of your support as always. Brian Weber.
looks like lock's loading's done, so we might be 12, 16.
is that the other bunker vent loading?
It's the other bunker vent that was. That's the lock strain. So,
So now
and the looks like the subcooler vents have definitely died down a lot. So, looks like I think we're at prop load complete.
but
So
we're
it's a little
only a
bit
few
earlier
minutes
than I
away
thought.
then.
Yep, a little
I
earlier
was
than I
gonna
thought.
say, remember they changed the timing. So there's a little vent like on this view to the right on the service structure. There's like a small vent that goes sort of in a 45-degree angle down to the right, and that one is part of the depressurization system prior of an engine test on the launch mount. Now that happens at T minus 60 seconds because they changed that from T minus 40 seconds. So whenever that kicks in, we'll probably start saying, "Oh, here it comes," and then we're gonna have to wait another 60 seconds instead of 40 seconds. Last time it caught us off guard because we're like, it should be happening now, and it took like another 20 seconds for the detonation suppression system to engage.
Yep.
So it was odd. So we'll see
But we
if we can
will
see that.
keep watching.
We didn't even hear it.
Nope, there it is.
There it is. Okay, 60 seconds in.
So we will see. I imagine we'll see the detonation suppression system, and then maybe we'll see a deluge system activation. But we'll just have to wait and see what SpaceX decides to do.
Static fire, please.
Lovely wisps of
SpaceX.
frost getting in the way of the camera view there slightly, but looking underneath the launch mount, should see that DSS start to smear our perspective through the trench there.
Oh,
Did
I
Was
thought.
that the test? I'm
did
What
not
they
was
sure.
that?
did they
That,
just
that was a
SP
burp of some kind.
the and that didn't seem powerful enough to do that though.
No.
No way. No way
It
that
could have
was.
been just the engines they replaced. It could have been a 5 engine SP
SP
or
being
say
spin prime, of
five or
course.
six. Yeah, 5 or 6 engine spin prime.
No way.
Sorry. Yeah, that
Seemed awfully quick to be a spin prime as well, though, didn't it?
it did seem quick.
No way that was all. Swear to God, if they start using.
Oh wait,
Oh, I can hear stuff.
Is that booster venting?
I think that's the booster venting.
Oh,
Yeah, that's the booster.
Yeah, and
That's definitely the booster.
that's depress.
yeah,
Yeah,
and
that's
we have
depress.
methane detank as well.
Yep.
The methane recondensers are running over at the methane tank, so now we have methane detank. So that was it.
That must have
Um,
been it. I
that
was
had to have been
expecting
it.
the detonation suppression
Not even
system
a
to kick in,
Yeah.
DSS.
and there was nothing. I mean, it's better for our camera views because we can actually see through the trench, and it's not all smeared with the what's the word, vapor and whatnot. But very
Bro, that was all.
anticlimactic spin prime. It looks as if we've gotten.
That was even more anticlimactic than I thought it would be because I was thinking we'll see the DSS fire, maybe the deluge, and then they'll run all 33, and then that'll be that, and you won't
There
really
was
see much.
no.
That was even
Yeah, there was no like precursor to that. It was just vapor, and
no,
then that was it.
yeah,
Like that was much quicker than really any other spin prime that we've observed before, or even ones that we've had better visibility of. Because obviously our views towards or inside the trench are usually obscured by either the
They
DSS
should
or
just
the
do a static
LVS.
fire, bro.
That was very quick. That was very, very, very quick.
Also, like, I'm just gonna say that if that was a spin prime and they didn't turn on the DSS, um, that's a gamble if they didn't do that. That's all I'm gonna say. Um, but if that was a spin prime, that also didn't look right. If I'm gonna be honest, usually spin primes last a little bit longer, and they're a bit stronger too in terms of the vent that comes out of the engine.
Yeah.
Um, that looked like they tried. It looked like they tried to spin up and didn't. So I'm not really gonna say it was
It looked
a,
odd.
a
Let's
Uh-uh.
blur,
just say it.
but it looked odd. It didn't look right.
Yeah,
Uh-uh.
it looked
Could
odd
have been a fail.
compared to what we've
That's
seen in the
it.
past. That's for sure. Like that's at least the thing that we are sure of.
But I can say for certain that they are detanking. That is something I can say for certain because the methane recondensers at the tanks only turn on when they're running methane back. And then on top of that, the LOX liquid vapor return tank vents are also running as well. So they are detanking both tanks. Um, so whatever they did is done. Either is done or something else happened. But at this rate, they will detank. We will have to wait to hear from SpaceX if it's good to go. Maybe they'll. I kind of expect them to make a post to say booster's good to go. We're targeting tomorrow. It feels like they should. The only other indication I would say is if we're good to go is if ship 40 starts rolling to the pad. Because if it isn't good, then ship 40 isn't going to roll. So there's indications we have to watch out for later today. Booster 21 is that? There's another photo from Cherry.
Well, I was going to say, of course, one big indication of whether we go for flight tomorrow will be the ship making its way to the launch site and stacking, because I am, um, personally, I'm more confident in SpaceX doing a tweet about a full stack than a tweet about the booster.
True.
But we'll just have to wait and see what SpaceX decides to share with the world. Of course, there is no kind of daily press release we get of the ongoings today at Starbase, which would be lovely to have, but it would never happen. So we are just making our best guesses as to what is happening at any given moment. And yeah, that'll be the biggest indication, of course, because you can't launch without a full stack. So need the ship at the pad. And if they're not happy with the booster, then there's not really any reason to roll the ship to the pad if you want to test the booster
Yep.
again.
And can confirm with my Mark 1 eyeballs, Ship 40 is still very well. It's staying put in front of Mega Bay 2 right now. They're yeah.
It so Booster 21 is close to Richardson. It's
Okay.
currently off to the side, waiting, allowing traffic to pass. Um, so it's still got a solid like 30 plus minutes before it even gets to the production site. And once it gets underway again. So assuming that gets to the production site, I'd assume around 1:15 p.m. Give or take, somewhere around there, probably by 1, depending on how long it sits there. Then has to go up Remedios and then over to the bay. That probably
Hope
takes
that
another
wasn't a
15 minutes or
failure.
so, 15
I
20.
wouldn't have been so good.
Then get it out of the way enough of 40. Then the crews can either just park 21 or get it inside the bay, and then grab 40 and roll it, assuming everything is good with 20 and 40 starts rolling. So we could see 40 start rolling in maybe an hour, in 15 hour and a half, something like that. The closure for 40 is supposed to start in 8 minutes, um, but I would expect 40 to not start rolling until 21's back in at least in the ring yard or inside Mega Bay 1. So
Oh,
that's
guys,
kind
I'll
of
be
what
right
we're
back.
waiting for at this point. For any indications, as of right now, we're just gonna kind of we'll sit and watch Booster 20D tank. And any indication that they're going for tomorrow is going to be watching Ship 40 roll in that closure, basically.
And the only way to find out is to wait and see. So if you haven't already, that subscribe button might be useful. And we will, of course, have rapid updates over on all our social media channels, whichever one whichever platform you prefer, we are on all of them. So go find NASA Spaceflight or NSF or official NSF or a variation of that. 29 hours, 21 minutes, and 3 seconds until the window opens. We're still yet to see if that window will be met or not. I thought we were about to hear some more venting then. Over the course of the test, of course, we did get some more support, so very quickly I will run through that while we have the opportunity. Carson, thank you for your support. Could they be doing a fin test on the ship to burp the fuel system like a radiator using the vibrations of the fin motors?
A fin test on the ship? No. Those motors are completely separate from everything else. They're just electric motors with a. I'm pretty sure they're gearboxed. I don't know if they're direct drive or not. I can't
What
remember
is
if they are.
burping the fuel system? It feels odd to me that expression.
I guess getting all the gas bubbles out of the system, but if
Yeah.
you have gas bubbles in your system, that's bad.
If you have gas bubbles in your prop lines,
See a doctor.
you're gonna cavitate your turbo pumps and they're gonna go kaboom.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Rest in
Yeah.
peace engines, and then you'll
they
have
do that sort of
a
thing.
New Glenn type situation on your hands.
They do that with high pressure inside
Yeah, they
the
do that
tank.
with other methods. They don't need to
Yeah.
vibrate anything.
Yeah.
The KD80. There is only one true drink, coffee. Tea isn't real. Opinion invalidated. Kevin, thank you for
What if I
getting
said
the...
neither drink was valid? To be honest,
I
tea
don't
and
drink
coffee,
either.
both
I don't
terrible.
drink either, so...
Yeah.
Oh, I'm seeing the vent on the
On the
the
launch mount
OLM.
there, bottom right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's going on there?
They're depressing.
Huh.
Is there any potential that they were holding and that they're going to do another test, or is that not
I mean,
possible?
the methane recondensers were running, which says they were running methane back to those tanks. Um, who knows? Let's find out. Maybe they recycled.
Really odd test. I'm just gonna say one thing that I pointed out in the back channel, but I did not point out here loudly, is that the timing did not line up
No, it didn't
No.
either.
when we saw the venting from the launch mount. I said 60 seconds. That test did not happen 60 seconds after that. It happened maybe like 40 seconds, which it will be odd for SpaceX to now go back to 40 seconds again. Since we had the static fire test with booster 20 and it was 60 seconds in that case. So I don't know what's going on. It's odd. Let's just keep watching. That is all.
I think this is the strangest testing stream I've ever been on.
It's up there
It's up there.
because we're still scratching our heads like crazy. We have no idea whether that was good or bad, or whether or not the results of which are going to warrant Ship 40 moving at all today. I guess keep your eyes on the road closures for or on the website for the city of Starbase, and we'll have to go off from there. But that closure on Friday is equally head scratching because I'm not sure what that suggests for tomorrow.
Well, they normally do several flight closures in a row um, on multiple days for backups.
Yeah,
Anyways,
but those are also listed as backups. The one on Friday is listed as a primary closure.
I'm
That's what's
trying to
head
remember if they
scratching.
actually list them as alternate or if they do list them as primaries.
The
Sometimes
one
they've
on
listed them
Friday
as primaries,
yeah.
if I remember correctly, but it's been a bit. Well, I guess that
Well,
depress vent didn't mean anything. So
yeah, I was going to say, I haven't seen anything.
yeah, so I don't think
Um,
it meant anything. They're still detanking, so I don't know. I don't know
Yeah.
what's going on. Um, this is weird. Yeah.
This is weird. Ryan Weber, 2026.
It's your phrase of the stream.
Confuse X.
It's true.
Confuse media spam button.
I will also add, though, road closures at Starbase, the scheduled road closures at Starbase, they are more of a loose hint rather than a solid indication because
Yes.
SpaceX will just roll a vehicle whenever they feel like it, whether there is an actual scheduled road closure or not, and they'll just put in a scheduled road closure later after they've actually rolled the thing. So that does happen. I wouldn't say it happens regularly, but it happens semi often uh, to the point that we're used to it happening. So yeah, we'll just have to wait and see. The only indication I can give you of when the ship will be rolling to the pad is when we see the ship on Highway 4 rolling to the pad. Anytime
Basically.
before that, it's a complete and utter guess.
If we see ship backing away from Mega Bay 2, um, and turning towards Remedios, then I would say it's going to the pad. The only other option for that to do would be for the ship to back away, the sling to go into Mega Bay 2. They would actually no. They, you know what? They can't lift Ship 40 onto a work stand right now. They need both bridge cranes to do it, and the right bridge crane is busy with Ship 42, and that bridge crane cannot let go of that ship until the aft is installed because the transfer tubes are hanging out the bottom of the LOX tank right now, and they can't sit that ship down on anything with that really in its state. So basically, if they wanted 40 back on a work stand, if anything happened, um, it would take several days in order to get it to a point where you could take that bridge crane off. So that's not going to happen. So one way or the other, 40 staying on its transport stand for a while. So
Kiwi space enthusiast, helium and hydrogen blamer says in chat, it's all Jerry's fault. He upset the booster with microwave tea.
that's true, 100%.
I think this is a
So
scientifically proven fact.
if this was a wonky test and not all went well, there is a statistical probability of whenever Jerry's now in town of a test going awry.
The Jerry cannot be near any rockets for the rest of his life.
No.
Then apparently.
No, he cannot. He cannot.
By the way, the frost line's going down. So if you're wondering if it really is
Yeah.
detanking, there you go. It's detanking. But yeah, I think if this is because if it's an abort, I think it's Jerry's fault. And
Hashtag blame Jerry. I want to see it in chat. Hashtag blame Jerry. Spam it in chat, everybody. Hashtag blame Jerry.
here we
And of course,
go.
that detanking frost line is, a bit more of a loose indication because, of course, they can detank the vehicle faster than the steel warms up to melt the ice. So that's why it's kind of a wavy pattern. There aren't waves of oxygen in the tank right now. That is just the a different. The temperature of the steel is not uniform, so the water ice on the outside of the booster is melting at different rates. And speaking of rates, frame rates, video replays, that worked. We have a couple cameras to look at.
Wow, what a segue.
I think that was Sawyer level personally. Let's take a look. First of all, looking in from the west, looking to the east, you can see Pad One in the background.
Oof.
Um, well, we could have seen it, but SpaceX
Huh.
has decided to do this tank farm activity in front. So this is the better angle. This is looking from the east to
Yeah.
the west, and you can see there
Just
the nothingness that happens beneath the pad.
It doesn't look powerful enough to be a spin prime. It really doesn't.
I have to agree, but then on the other hand, the spin
It
primes I'm
reminds
imagining
me.
in my head have been like full like 33 engine spin primes on pad one, and the dynamics of that. First of all, different launch mount shape, and of course it's more engines. I mean that's
And we've
different.
seen single engines on the tripod stand back in McGregor, back when
Yeah.
it was elevated.
I
Alright.
It's
know I
still
know
like
there
a
have been
jet.
single engine spin primes before. I just can't imagine it in my head, so I can't I can't figure out what it would look like on pad two in my head.
It reminds me of, I don't know if you guys remember Booster 7. Hey, the first test that
Of
it did
course,
on
who
the pad.
doesn't? I really
Yeah,
don't want Booster 20 to
that
remind me of Booster 7, Alex.
well, what it reminds me of before it did the Spin Prime test, it was doing some kind of breathing vents, as I used to call it, in that same stream. I remember that I said, the jet from a Spin Prime is sort of like whoosh, it actually goes fast, whereas the one that we were seeing at the time was more like a breathing side from the booster. This that we're seeing here looks a lot more like that.
You know what
So
it
So,
looks
whatever
like?
Alex,
Booster
if
20 is doing here, I think it's something similar than what Booster 7 did before its Spin Prime test
You
back
know what it
in
looks like?
July
what?
2022.
It looks like all they did was open the LOX valves
Yeah,
and just dump LOX out. The
yeah,
LOX
that's
valves
what
on
I
the
think it
engines.
happened.
I
Because
don't even
that was
think the pumps
probably the
spun.
same thing. That's probably the same thing that happened with Booster 7 as well, where we saw that multiple times. And it was very odd. We spent like I think an hour. It was Chris
Bro,
G, Thomas, and me sort of wondering what it was. So yeah, I'm still wondering what it was, and I'm still wondering what is that we saw here with Booster 20. And it might be what Ryan said, that they might just open the valves and let the liquid oxygen just drop. It could be just like
Yeah,
that.
yeah. I think literally what my guess as to what we're seeing right there is they open the LOX valves on some engines, maybe just those engines, and literally the pressure of and the weight of the liquid oxygen just dumped it out. That's it. The
I
pumps
don't even
did
want to go
not
back to
spin.
playing
There's no high
SFS
pressure
because
there
S40 could
at
roll out.
all. There's nothing. The pumps did not spin, not one like
What the?
RPM. Maybe they moved a little bit just from the air, but like not much. They definitely didn't get spun up by the in their actual spin up sequence. So I don't know if that's the test they intended to do. Um, it's odd. I don't because that doesn't really test anything on the engine. Just opening the LOX valves, it doesn't test anything.
I'm gonna
Um,
run with the same thing that I said earlier. It is odd whether it's good or not. I don't know.
yeah, right? Yeah. That's the best way to put it. It's odd. We don't know if it's good or if it's bad or whatever. The only way to know is if I think is if Ship 40 rolls today. If Ship 40 doesn't roll today, or if SpaceX all of a sudden posts that they're targeting Friday or something because they need to test tomorrow, that's when we'll know. Until
Yeah.
then, it's kind of speculation and wait.
Yep.
plenty of streaky meltiness happening now off the booster. You can see every so often some confetti. It looks like confetti sprinkling down to the ground. That's ice uh, falling off of the booster. So, Alex,
Yeah.
Hey,
Sure. Hey,
yeah,
what?
you ever wonder why we're here? You know,
Why?
tell us.
it's one of life's greatest mysteries, isn't it? I mean, why are we here? Are we the product of some cosmic coincidence, or is there really a God? Watching everything and stuff.
We're here
I don't
because we
know,
like
man,
talking about rockets
but it really
and
makes
people
me up.
like watching
It makes me up
rockets.
tonight. I'm doing a quote from Red versus Blue. That's all.
Never heard of it.
Well, we're,
Alex, Starship,
oh,
testing, rolling. What's happening?
Well, booster is detanking. We can see the defrost already. Rather the other way around. The frost going away and defrosting. Road closure is still there. We'll see when the ship will start rolling. Of course, Booster 21 is still rolling back. It stopped on Highway 4 a little bit a while ago to let other vehicles pass, but it's now continuing to roll down. It's about to pass the Richardson Avenue intersection with Highway 4 right next to our River Lot site. And yeah, that is Booster 21 coming back from its cryo-proof testing. and it's gonna get engines. Hopefully, go out for some engine testing on Pad 2 in the next few weeks after Flight 13, of course. But
I can
yeah, that
actually see it through some of the trees here at the outpost. Like it's towering over everything else here.
yeah. But that's basically where we are right now. We're just trying to see if the ship will also roll out during because the booster, while it detanks, it takes like an hour or so. So it's still a while, but we are in the rollout closure window now for the last 9 minutes, almost 10 now, for the ship to go out to the pad because it was at I think 12:30 to 4:30 p.m. a rollout from production to the pad. So that will be for the ship, and therefore we are waiting on that to happen. Probably will be once Booster 21 is back in the barn. Like once it is close to Mega V1, then the ship will go around it and go out and start taking the trip to the launch site. It'll be interesting to see if they take advantage of the road already closed to sort of roll the ship all the way to the current roadblock at the LBJ intersection with Highway 4. That roadblock in this case, and sort of put it at the front of all of the vehicles that return back to the pad or something like that. And then, they open the road, they open the launch site, but then the ship sort of continues along and then it's transported out to the launch site. That would be funny if they were to do that, but also quite clever because the road is already closed. You're not really interrupting much.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
it is. That's a
You can
great
see
shot
it,
right there.
yeah, literally rolling by the intersection there. Plenty of people watching on, as you would expect. Big booster rolling by. Gets a lot of people's attention.
Kind of hard to miss it.
It's also pretty mad that we're tracking two boosters at the same time. One of them
Yeah, I know.
detanking after testing, the other rolling back after testing. If you want a statement of just how things are going to be at Starbase in the not too distant future, this is it. This is everything happening all at once at Starbase. Almost feels like one of those days at the Cape where nothing happens for a week and then suddenly we have two launches and things arriving at the turn basin and
Yep.
three Falcon boosters roll past, and it's one of those days, but it's at Starbase and it's Starship boosters doing stuff instead. So as we approach no earlier than 29 hours until launch, let's go through some more questions. uh Mr. Nuck Engineer is asking, speaking of Kennedy, does, I think you meant to say KSC and not KFC, have a Starship ship static fire capability? Weber,
I hear they have really good tenders.
Ryan, let's assume that they are talking about the Kennedy Space Center and not the Kennedy Fried Chicken. Um, are they planning a Masseet-esque test site anywhere, or are they going to just test the ships at Starbase and then ship them out or barge them to the Cape?
I would expect a ship static fire stand set up somewhere on Merritt Island, probably like mile and a half, 2 miles away from the Roberts Road production facility that they're going to have there. That's my expectation. Where exactly? I don't know. And how many stands? Who knows? I haven't seen any permitting for it, but that's my expectation because they kind of have to have one. They cannot use the pads for the. They can't keep using pads for ship static fires for long term, viability and to keep your launch cadence up because you would need to put an adapter on and do a whole bunch of shenanigans with the pad in order to actually static fire a ship on there, which is what they're going to have to do in the short term until they build one, until they build an actual dedicated stand over there. So I hope they build one because otherwise their operations are going to actually stink badly with absolutely zero efficiency whatsoever if they don't.
I mean, it's methane, so wasn't it going to stink anyways?
Sure, yeah.
Wow. Wow.
You're welcome. Uh, video game developer is asking, they're going to have payload integrators on site, right? Isn't
I'm
the
getting bored
idea
of
that they are
this.
just going to put the ship right back onto the booster? Um,
Uh,
Alex, this is an interesting point because if they want to,
uh,
the idea is that the booster will come back and then they'll just put another ship on top, or they'll bring the ship back and put it on top of the booster. Are they going to have payload integration at the launch site, or is that going to be something that happens at a production site and they're just going to have to be really quick at rolling ships to the pad to launch? Because
yo, what?
according to Elon, we're going to be flying starships every hour soon.
That, bro, let's be
Yeah,
for
by
real.
2028 or
SpaceX ain't
something like that.
launching starships every hour.
The
That's
how can I say
impossible.
this? The only way I can see this happening is if it were at a safe distance, safe enough that it will probably take a decent amount of time for the ship to come back. I just don't think it's gonna happen with the ship. How about that? I'll just be very straight here saying that no, the ship is not gonna be like it's not gonna be oh it's landed. We'll put it back on the booster. First, the booster is not gonna be there. We've talked about this earlier. They cannot catch the ship while the booster is on the mount. Uh, so they need to put the booster first and then the ship. So that takes a while. Um, and then there's the matter, very simple matter of yes, they need to load the payload, but it will first of all, if it were like right on the pad on the launch site area, say something like where they have now been extending the launch site area, for example, which is close enough, but not literally on the mount, then you will you will still have
I
all
don't
of
know,
that
twin.
evacuated. Like there will be no one out there,
Uh,
so it will have to be completely automated, a completely automated process. It just feels to me very weird and strange to do it in such a complicated way rather than just having another ship ready to go. Like you land the booster and there's already a ship waiting for it a few meters off that you just roll to the chopsticks and put it on. Like it just feels, to not say another bad word, suboptimal. How about that? uh,
Okay.
you, you can imagine the other S word that I could say for that. Um, it doesn't really feel that is something worthy of doing. I'm gonna be honest.
Hmm.
Because it's the ship, you need the payload. Like unless it's a tanker, like the tanker is the only thing that you can really put the payload on quickly. They can do that in 30 minutes through the quick
Yeah.
disconnect, right? That's the only one where you could say, well, let's put it back on the booster and fly it again. That's the only one. Anything other than that, you have to load a payload, and that takes time, even if it was automated,
oh, hi, Mib.
right? Like it's not just boom, you snap your fingers and it's already on the ship. No, it takes time. There's a realistic side of things there. But yeah.
We have another question here from Tommy, who is asking, is it possible that the failed engine light was due to adjustments made after the static fire? Max, of course, they did like a 25-second static fire with this booster, and everything seemed fine and dandy. And then suddenly, come launch day, four of the engines don't light, and then we have an abort and at least a 7-day delay.
Yeah, certainly did not see this coming. I'm just as perplexed as just about anybody. And certainly, I do,
And my game
just
crashed.
as a disclaimer, we don't know if that was
Oh,
the test SpaceX was aiming for, or if it was, if it went well or not. Um, but if the test did not go well today, that would just add to the further confusion of, wait, I did not see this coming. You know, um, yeah, I'm still not quite sure what to make of
oh,
this
man.
beyond like, hey, I thought they had it, and obviously they don't. Or I shouldn't say they don't. They
Oh,
might not.
man.
I'll put it like that. Um, but I don't know. I'm struggling to find the words for it. Other than maybe it's starting to get a bit frustrating now because we thought they had it, and now it might take a bit more time. Or maybe today went well, and then that clip will age poorly. I'm not sure. Um, but we'll have to wait and see what SpaceX either has to say or what they want to do in terms of moving their hardware to indicate whether or not things are good to go going forward.
Indeed, indeed. We have gotten some more support, so I'll go through that quickly. Crafty Geek, thank you for the beautiful message. Bideford, again, doing another $10 super. Thank you for your support there. Nick, thank you. We're getting too philosophical. Oh yeah, the meaning of life. Diemez Recon, thank you for your support. And somebody else been on the shop, getting the Flight 13 Collector's Patch. I think it's less than 50% of those now available. So, because we do them in bulk, of course. Once they are gone, and they're never coming back. So if you want one, don't miss out. But of course, we are very, very grateful to everybody just tuning in and chatting and doing the YouTube things. Don't need to do the supers or the store messages or the tips or anything. Of course, we're very grateful when you do. And the store especially, you actually get something in return for your support. But just hanging out in chat is all we ask for. And we're very grateful to the thousands of people still watching, as the booster doesn't really do anything. But thank you for your patronage. We are very, very grateful for it. Skull Kid Ray is asking, if this test didn't go to plan, do we still have time for SpaceX to retest? Ryan, I would assume that, I mean, on one hand, yes, they have all the time in the world, they can test whenever they like. On the other hand, I think they probably mean for a launch tomorrow.
If for any reason what happened wasn't correct or what they didn't do went wrong, which I'm kind of the mind that I don't think they tested anything. I think something happened and it aborted. That's where I'm at right now. I really don't know what happened, but what happened I don't think was what they wanted to. But basically, in theory, they could detank and recycle the system and test again today. But if something went wrong, then they likely won't test again today. They'll look at the data. If for some reason they have to look at the engines again, they could do that on the transport stand. So they would have to take the booster off, put it on a transport stand, take a look at it, put it back on the mount and test it again. In theory, they could do that and get it and test it again tomorrow if that were the case. If there's anything more involved than that, then that puts a major question mark on everything. Basically, it's a lot of unknowns right now. We'll have to wait and see what happens. That's going to be dependent, I think. We'll have to wait to see if SpaceX says, okay, we're now targeting this date, or if Ship 40 doesn't roll at all today. I think that's a pretty good sign that they're going to have to go again tomorrow. If for some reason tomorrow's closure gets canceled, or the booster transport stand rolls back up to the tower and the sticks grab the booster, then we start having bigger questions on when they might launch again. So we're at the point of we're going to wait and see what SpaceX does. They're still detanking the booster. There's still a decent amount of liquid oxygen in. Most of the methane is basically gone. Where you see a lot of the clouds coming off the booster is kind of where the LOX is, so it's probably about a third left full. Most of the frost is not indicative of the exact level of the LOX, because the tank just has to keep warming up as that frost melts and everything like that. So they still got to finish detanking it and then depress it, and then it's going to be kind of wait and see what SpaceX does. Does the booster come off? Does the ship roll out? Do they go ahead and not roll the ship out, but keep the testing closure for tomorrow and go again? It's kind of up in the air right now, and we're just going to have to wait and see what happens.
We have another question. The problem solver NSF. I wonder who that could be. Would a Raptor test stand at Starbase be useful for quick engine testing when things like that happen? I assume that was referencing the engines being moved back to McGregor. Alex, what do you think? Should there be a little Raptor stand at Starbase, or is the trip up to McGregor not that big of a deal?
It's not that far away. There were rumors at one point that before Massis turned into what it is right now, that Massis was gonna be like another Raptor test location because McGregor is like 7 hours away on truck, and it's like, but do you really need to have a Raptor test site that close when, like, sure, it's 7 hours, but do you really need the Raptors back that soon, that quickly? I don't know. It feels to me that it doesn't make that much sense when all of your I was gonna say engine engineers, but that's basically what they are. Like all of the Raptor engineers are out there for that sort of purpose. Why would you make them go back down? Like, yeah, sure, it's not 7 hours out for the Raptor engine, but it's 7 hours probably for the engineers that have to come down from McGregor down to South Texas, right? It it feels odd to me that you will do that. Like you will have the Raptor testing split between Massey's outpost and just do it at McGregor. They have that. It's better than definitely having to truck it all the way to California. Imagine if they had the test site out there. Then of course it will probably be you know with a higher not chances but more like what's the word? I don't remember. But basically you will be more in a better position to excuse the need for a massive test site for just engines, basically.
Right. Let's see. Again, if you have questions or comments or interesting things not to do with Jerry's microwave tea, tag us in chat at NASA Spaceflight or at NSF, and we will bring them on the screen and do our best at answering them. Uh, Digger 450R is asking, are you expecting a rollback after testing, or would they be leaving the stand there just in case? Max, what do you think? I mean, obviously it depends how this testing went, which is odd testing to say the least, but I would hope they want to leave the booster at the pad and then only roll out the ship, stack it, everything's rainbows and wonderful, and then launch tomorrow right on time.
Well, I think that all depends on how the test actually went today. Obviously, if we see a roll closure from pad to production, yikes, we have bigger problems on our hands. Um, but assuming all went well today, we predict that probably, excuse me, we could probably see ship roll as soon as maybe a couple of hours. But we also presume that they want Booster 21 near the production site first. Um, before they can actually get ship 40 out and rolled to the highway. So at the earliest, probably a couple hours, but we're not quite sure. But they have until 4:30 with this current window for transport and getting ship 40 out, getting ship 40 rolled out. So yeah, they have till 4:30. They still have about 3 and a bit hours left to go in that on that front. So that is in SpaceX time, 3.5 hours is a long time. So they could do a whole lot, but we'll have to wait and see.
And we have a very on topic, on time question from the Skynet Cyberdyne asking, not to be a worrywart, but is there a chance that Tropical Storm Bertha could impact launch weather for tomorrow? Officially upgraded now to a tropical storm from a tropical depression, I think it was. Um, the forecast says it's going to be
Oh,
heading kind of more Houston way, but of course that's only the center of the storm, and not, storms impact more than just directly under the middle, the center of the storm, of course. So I'm going to say I don't know, but I much prefer the weather to last week than this week. I don't know if anybody in the room has any other opinions on it, but I mean, less storms the better, and it's annoying that there is a tropical storm headed towards Houston. I'm going to take that as a no then. Hopefully it doesn't impact the launch too much at Starbase. Texas is quite big, if you didn't know. Fun fact. We have a question here from Tom, who's asking, how do these stages communicate during flight? I see no obvious cable/connections, but maybe I'm blind. Ryan, I'll give that one to you, because I'm thinking, the Apollo capsule, Orion, they have a massive umbilical that unhooks but do they have something similar between booster and ship, or is it like Wi-Fi?
Um, they communicate to each other via Starlink and also via ship to ship comms um and whatnot. So there's definitely different comms they talk to one another through um and whatnot, especially during staging and other things like that.
Make it rocket. Starship had planned to go orbital back with the first couple flights. In theory, could they have done it? Ryan, I already know your answer. I don't even have to ask you this question to get your answer. Max, what do you think? I mean, orbit with Mark 1, right? Or Mark
Yeah,
2, was it?
totally. Orbit with Mark One. I mean, like every single flight so far. I mean, obviously, bar the exception of Flight One, because we all know how that went.
And
They
two,
should have had more propel. What?
and two.
Well, yes, but ship actually got pretty far in Flight Two. They've had more
Oh,
than enough propellant on board ship to make orbit if they wanted to. But again, the reason why they target these suborbital trajectories is that they know where ship is going to come down, and it does not become a big piece of space debris that they cannot control at that point and cause further issue or damage. So it's had more than enough propellant on board to make orbit if they wanted to, but again, they have been specifically not targeting it for that reason alone. We could see that change though as early as Flight 14, assuming all goes well with 13. But we need to get 13 off the ground and said and done first, well enough to warrant that on 14.
So in
Alright, hold
regards
on,
Here
guys.
we
to
go.
what we saw, but here we go.
I'm
Um,
just saying here we go because I'm imagining in my head your answer would be nope, nope, absolutely not, nope, 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 nope.
no, I'm not gonna reference that. I'll just say this. I don't know how well Block Two would have done in orbit. We don't know how long it would have lasted. We'll just say that. We know Block Three can do 48 hours, but I don't really know how well Block Two would have done. We don't really know. I would say that. But in terms of the what we saw from what it looks like, all they did was a leak check. So they probably forced open the prop valves and then just leak checked the connections to the booster between the Raptor engine to the booster. So basically, just allowed prop to flow through the main connection. So the connection that goes, um, the from the main LOX pump up to the booster, and then the CH4 pump up to the booster. So the main inlets, they're just leak checking those connections as well as the high pressure ones, and that's it. That's it. The engines are already validated. That's done in McGregor. So all you need to do is be like, hey, did we install this engine like a little bit wonky? No, it's not leaking. Good. All right, launch it. I think that's all they did. After talking with some people, it sounds like that's all they did. They just forced
Okay.
open the main valves, leak checked it, and called it good. Why they just decided to do it with a full LOX tank? Because why not? They always do tests with a full LOX tank. So
I mean, maybe we'll find out something soon. Maybe not.
Alright.
SpaceX doesn't say a lot these days, unfortunately. So hopefully we do hear some official wording. But that is why we are so confused and speculative on today's stream
Oh, no.
because we haven't really seen anything like that before. At least not in my memory. We were kind of all expecting a spin prime or an igniter test or something like that. Um, and then it didn't happen, and they just kind of produced some clouds in the aft section of the booster. So, well, what you're saying does make sense. Although, why not do a full spin prime while you have the choice? I don't know. I don't know. Question for SpaceX.
right.
Digger 450R is asking, do you think they will ever move away from testing booster on the pad? Alex, this is an interesting question because, of course, the pad is where they launch, and if they're going to be launching every hour, they won't have time to squeeze a booster in for testing. So, are they going to have dedicated booster test stands?
Well, that sort of goes back to what I mentioned before about how quickly are you testing these boosters, right? Um, or rather, yeah, like how often do you really need to test these boosters once Starship is up and running? Because if it is like Falcon 9, then it's just basically before its first flight, and that will happen only once for every booster. And so that means if you build, say, I don't know, 10 boosters in a year, then that's like 10 times that it happens. Not a really lot of this of disruption. And then there's the fact as well that whenever you want to test that booster, like some kind of booster static fire stand or whatever, it needs to be basically just like the pad. It needs to have a flame trench. It needs to have a deluge system just like the pad. It needs to have a diverter just like the pad. It needs to have a launch mount like the pad. Everything needs to be
What
like the
game do I
pad.
play?
Why don't do it at the pad? Instead of just building something else differently, why not just do that? Like, why would you go that far out in terms of building such a huge thing just for it to be a static fire stand? It like if I were them, it would be like, oh yeah, let's make the launch mount and the like in a replica of the flame diverter. Let's not put any launch tower or anything like that. Let's not put any of that stuff. Let's just build the mount itself and the trench and the deluge system. You're just one launch tower away from having a like a launch pad in general. Why not do that the entire thing? And you're not doing this that very often because these boosters, in theory, from what Elon said a long time ago, they want to reuse these boosters hundreds of times. So even if they were to launch like every hour, you only need maybe like a dozen of these every every year, basically, right? So yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's not that many times that you really need to do this, and you'll have multiple paths as well, which kind of helps. Just
Hmm.
the ones that they are building right now, it's five of them. So if you cannot launch from one of them, well, you still have the other four. So who cares if one of them is, you know, doing a static fire test on a booster? And this is like
Yeah.
in the way out future distance we're talking about, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what tell you
If
guys
you
that.
have any questions or comments, we are going to stay live
Why
as
did
we
why did my viewer
continue to
count
go
go
through
from
the
3 to 1 on YouTube?
still many thousands of you joining us, so thank you for your company. At NASA Space Guy, at NSF in chat, tag us with your questions and comments, brings it into the queue here. We have gotten some support as well, which I'll go through quickly. Marcos, thank you for the support. And we have Fothbear as well. Thank you for your support as well. We are getting a few questions in chat, Ryan, about has there already been a static fire test? Is there going to be a static fire test? Could you just give us a little like rundown of the day, what we have seen, what could be the next steps, what's going on with Booster 20?
So, if my theory is correct, um, as I've talked to other people about it, and it was a just a leak test of the interfaces between the engines and the booster itself, which kind of makes sense when I think about it. It's kind of the same thing I would do changing a filter on an engine on an airplane. You do a leak. You just do a leak check to make sure it's tight enough and you're not getting any oil or fuel or hydraulic fluid coming out of where you just changed a filter. Um, other instances are like changing pumps and stuff. You do an ops check, but you also do a leak check to make sure nothing is leaking out of the system. You don't want leaks. There's limits to leaks, but you don't want them if you can avoid them. So it makes sense that that's what they could do that. Why they didn't do a spin prime or an igniter test, uh, I don't know. Maybe they just didn't want to use the DSS at all. Basically, doing this test means they don't have to refill the water at all they have to do is top off LN2 and LOX because they don't even really have to top off
Hi.
LN4 because it's already topped off. So they just have to bring tankers in for LOX and LN2, and they really don't have to do that
Oh
much
yes.
because they only
This is
built the booster. There was no ship, and they can also recover a lot. So it's less stuff they have to truck in, less issues they have, and less stuff they have to really do if they want to launch in the next
here's
28 and
my.
a half hours
Oh,
and whatnot. So
how the
that's probably what they did. The next
so,
steps are for
Twitch?
T20 to be
Why?
launching press. Assuming everything is good to go, ship
What's wrong with
20
this
will
name?
likely start the roll after Booster 21 gets into the production site, which it's getting relatively close to Sanchez. So it's getting there. Once it gets into Remedios and into the
What?
Rayguard, 40 will likely come out once the launch site's good to go. The sticks will come down, and then
Alright.
go grab that and then stack it later today. So that's
Shit, I
kind of
need to
where
have my
we're
Twitch
at.
pulled up.
There will not be a static fire test.
Oh, geez,
The
that
next time the
KSB?
engine
Yeah.
is light should hopefully be in 28 hours, 35 minutes, and like 58 seconds. Is the next time those engines should light, and hopefully they all light and it lifts off. So
Fingers crossed. Is it too much to ask for?
No, I've already played SFS.
Well, I mean, it
Got
was
kind
on
of boring.
Thursday, so.
Well, unknowingly so.
What did I even do in this thing?
Mate It Rocket asking if they have to refill the deluge every time.
What is
How are they going
this?
to launch so often in the future? That's a great question, Alex.
When you play it for
Well,
like 800 hours,
they
it
can
can get
use a little bit
boring at
of the
times.
water. They have
What the hell
pumps
have I
in
cooked up?
the flame trench
What is this?
to be able to pump it back. Um, in the
Genuinely, what is
future, I can
this?
imagine that they might have other places where they might extend that pumping
I
system. Uh, LC-39A, for example, at the Kennedy Space Center, it
mean, this
seems like there
works.
might be some collecting ponds
None of these engines have
outside
gimbal.
the trench,
Oh, they do. Never
which
mind.
is clearly not here for obvious reasons because you have a lot of basically the swamplands around the launch pad basically don't allow you to do that sort of thing. Maybe
Stabilize.
if they were allowed to do such a thing, maybe they could also pump a little bit more back
Stop.
into the tanks. But there's a key
Oh
difference
shit.
that's going to happen in the future, which is hopefully they're going to get water
Alright.
from
I think we're
biofuel
fine.
water from the municipal water system instead of trucking it in, and then
What
actually
is that? I don't
having to
know.
go to the launch pad to really deliver the water
Some.
for the deluge. They just get it from part of
What's
the
our What's
municipal
our like
water
AP on
system.
after this?
It's not there yet. They are not in that process just yet, but
We're going sideways.
probably in the future, like near future. I mean, like it might not even be like
We're
a
going
long
straight up.
time future when they start
It's,
launching
I don't think it
powerly.
should be
It might be
well, it's not.
probably in the next
And I
year.
accidentally
We'll see.
staged. Oh, no,
Another question.
that one ran
Chris
out anyway.
Rogers asking similar on the same note. Do we really think we're going to see one launch per pad per hour, or is it more one launch globally per hour? I'm gonna put this in the whole room. Max, let's start with you. What do you think? A launch an hour? I mean,
I mean, by that
I
point
have.
they'll have
Oh,
multiple
I have.
pads, right? They'll have at least two
This
here.
Finder Stage
They'll
has like
have
3,000
three
delta
in
V.
Florida
Oh
at
no,
least, if not
that's
more.
nice.
So probably one an hour. I think just in general, one from a site, and then I guess they could, in theory, just rotate between them. That's my best guess. That's where my mind takes me immediately, and I guess that's just where I go whenever I think about it. But because like one launch every hour from the same pad would require immense resources from
Oh,
fuel, water, just any other commodities they need. Um, that would require extensive resource management and access, um, which seems difficult to imagine, especially for a vehicle the size of Starship. So my mind takes me to at least one launch from a site per hour.
Ryan, what do you think? A launch an hour? I mean, I think I know what you think, but what do you think?
hey, I just good luck getting the
screwing the
propellant
rest
for
off.
that. Like the propellant required, you're talking
Oh
about
shit.
using what, like 4,000 metric tons of liquid oxygen every hour, minimum. That's not including what you vent off. Plus
There we go.
plus the LN2 plus the methane. That is an ungodly amount of cryogenic liquid. Um, I the only way I see that possible is if you have like 24 operational launch pads around the world. That's the only way I see that possible. And every single pad launches you get you get one launch a day out of each pad, and they're spaced apart by an hour. That's the only way I see that
I
possible.
think the sequence made to go to the
And
moon
even then,
or man.
refueling all those
Oh,
pads
my God.
to launch even every day, that's a lot all on its own. The ASU at Starbase can do 900 tons of blocks a day. That's it. You would need even bigger ASU to fill that tank farm back up. So you would basically have to do ASU plus truck it in from everywhere else, and you have to do that for every single pad.
So what you're saying is they need what 19 launch pads in Louisiana whenever they go through that, right?
Yep,
And they need like another 10 more air separation units just at Starbase.
they need a lot of stuff. Like the infrastructure
I sure hope we
required
don't need a
to
rescue
launch
mission.
an hour for a vehicle of this size is stupid to the point of insanity. Um, I don't know if they would ever be able to pull that off in any way, shape, or form.
By the way, I
What?
think I mentioned this at one point. You know how we talk about how big the methane transfer tube is on Super Heavy? It holds as much methane as New Glenn. The New Glenn booster holds about as much methane as that transfer tube, and that is like 15% of the methane that the booster of Starship holds.
It just goes to show the colossal amount of cryogenic liquids that are in that thing. It's ridiculous.
That's a lot of methane.
It is.
Anyways,
It's a
if
lot.
there is a company that's crazy enough to try and pull something like that off, it's called Space Exploration Technologies Corporation, and they are headquartered in Starbase, Texas. So, if I was, if there's any company that's gonna try and pull it off, it is SpaceX. So, if they do, that would be well, unprecedented. Wouldn't be strong enough a word. That would just be, kind of species defining the amount
What
of
is
mass we'd be able
this?
to take up into the cosmos.
Just turn that. No.
We're still seeing that detanking process underway. Plenty of ice, as you can see, continuing to flake off the booster. It is going to come off in sort of in a non-uniform pattern, of course, because it takes much longer for the steel to warm up than it does to detank
Oh.
the cryogenic rocks inside. So it is of course, the sun is shining on one side of the booster, the wind plays a factor as well, so it's not an exact indicator of the amount of fuel remaining inside of the booster, um, but it will eventually all melt away, but it takes a little longer than when you
Oh,
detank the vehicle,
bro.
for
Can't we just get
example.
rid of
That
this
frost, of course,
maneuver?
is not the propellant itself, it's
Oh.
water ice from the atmosphere that has been frozen onto the side of the booster because of the steel being so cold because of the propellant inside of the booster, if that makes sense. So the propellant makes the steel cold, the water touches the steel, water freezes and makes a frosty coating around the vehicle. I got a bit more support here. Shazbert Toddbot, thank you. Bring on Bertha, hashtag Louisiana Strong. I think it's just over or approaching New Orleans, I think, according to the forecast. And Corn Bredamus, interesting username. Thank you for your support. Did they figure out why those cover plates came off? I'm not 100% sure what you're referencing. Does anyone know what they're referencing?
They
Cover
didn't
plates?
come off. They were never installed when it rolled out. The cover, they're cover plates that go over the. Oh, I think it's the LOX Auto Gen off the engine, if I remember correctly. Um, that
Oh,
go.
is it
It's
those
right above.
engine fairings that
Oh,
pop
we're in
off the
orbit?
engine?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm with
Those
you.
were never installed to begin with when it first rolled out for launch. So, um, yeah.
Let's see here. Bunkered Gaming asking, how does SpaceX deal with ship needing to emergency land shortly after launch, especially if it is crewed and they can't just dump it? Wouldn't the pad be inaccessible from booster landing? Max, you first. What do you think? I mean, crewed Starship is definitely going to be a whole beast in its own because there isn't really the ability to do an abort system, so it's a unique system.
Yeah, that's always been one of the more perplexing areas of a crewed starship, right? Is there's no immediate or obvious answer to a launch escape system. Um, so if they need to make an emergency landing, oh boy, um, I'm gonna be completely honest. I'm not sure. I haven't really thought that deep into what they may or may not be able to do. Um, Maybe they find a way to integrate some sort of like escape capsules for those on board, at least for those with crews of not terribly huge numbers. Because obviously, if you're flying, 100 or yeah, if you're flying 100 people per starship, that's a lot of escape pods to try and accommodate, or at least larger ones with multiple people, which seems like a bigger headache in itself. Um, Maybe they could try and splash it in the Gulf on its belly somehow and keep it soft enough to not warp the ship or cause any sort of explosion that we've seen on recent or really any other splashdown we've
E.
seen to this point. Um,
WWE.
I don't know. I'm gonna have to enlist the help of Alex on
How do
this
you
one
do
because
this?
I'm not honestly sure what else they could do.
Bro, my orbit is so tilted.
Like RTLS of Starship really feels like RTLS of Shuttle.
Yeah,
Like I
yeah.
don't I don't know how you abort with that vehicle to return
What
to
am
the
I
escape
doing?
vessel. I don't know
Oh,
how that's even remotely possible, to be honest with
why
you.
is it going up?
Like, cause shuttle could had have some kind of glide back. Starship, while it can glide, it does have some cross range. It doesn't have
Why?
doesn't
It's
have the
trying to
cross
get
range
to the
ability that
moon.
shuttle did.
Or,
Um,
man, stop
so
It
accelerating.
doesn't have landing gear.
no, unless I honestly think every single cruise ship should have landing gear on it.
What is that
What's
information? I have no idea.
another thing that's also I think we should consider, at least in terms of the RTLS for shuttle. That was a very scary maneuver to the point where like John Young is on record of saying how terrified he was of doing it, and how he thought the chances of survival in said scenario that would warrant an RTLS were incredibly risky and incredibly dangerous. Like it was one of the few things he was actually afraid of was a shuttle RTLS, and for a starship, I don't know. I guess it would depend on what the issue is and whether or not they can obviously bring it back and have it caught in the sticks. If not, I'm not quite sure how else they would employ any sort of emergency landing unless they employed some sort of like leg system,
Bro,
like we see on the HLS variant, or like we saw from SN8 to SN15 with those very tiny landing legs tucked inside the engine skirts. Assuming that there's actually room for those with the RVACs there now.
And where do you land
Yeah,
even if you have landing legs?
right.
Because it's like,
Exactly.
what if
Exactly.
it catches you in the middle of the ocean? You know what I mean? Because it
It
depends
can float.
where
It can float.
in it. Because this thing
We
tips over and just
Every single time this thing is tipped
blows
over,
up.
it's blown up.
that's what I'm saying. It's like they'll have to engineer a way or find a way to have it land in the ocean either on its belly or like
He-
find a way to have it splash down
Here's
somehow
the
to not
thing.
Or
blow up like that.
do like
Here's the
shuttle
thing.
and have a slingshot out of the cabin.
Oh yeah,
Just
jump
put
out
Also,
of
it
the ship as it belly
Oh
flops.
God.
exactly. That will be the only way. Because
like,
that,
here's
or
the
I mean,
problem.
if you believe in a higher power, pray to it. I don't know.
Here's the problem too with Starship, and it's a significant problem compared to Shuttle. Shuttle, the
it
fuel
takes
input
800
on
Delta
board
V and I
is
only
weight
have
per gallon of fuel
2300.
plus whatever else
Trying to go to the moon with
you
this
have.
thing.
If you're boarding with Starship, you have over 1,500 metric tons of cryogenic propellant on board. You can't just dump that. That doesn't work that way.
It's like trying to escape during flight by detaching the SRBs.
Yeah.
You still
Like,
carry the external tank and like a fully loaded external tank, basically, right?
yeah, like I don't know how I really, unless there's a way to detach the crew module and splash it down, I or whatnot, like, or the only other way would be an abort to orbit. And you're probably
Which
gonna
did
need
happen before with shuttle.
the
It did happen.
you're gonna need the 9 engine variant of Starship for that, and you're probably gonna need it to get up to 300 tons the
What
thrust to be able to
do I?
even remotely pull that off if booster has a problem on ascent. Um, I don't know where, and it also depends on how the payload you're taking along with you. You know how many
Should I
fuels or
remake
whatever.
my
There's a whole
rocket?
bunch of variables on that, whether or not you could actually abort to orbit. But if you have an issue that's too early on, ship will separate. At that point, I don't see anything that you can do. Nothing. I don't think there's a thing that you can do. You're just done. Truly, I just don't know how you recover a starship loaded with that much prop. Um, if you can't get to orbit, um, I just don't know how you recover that.
Wait,
I really don't.
hang on, Ryan. Did you say to perform? I'm sorry if I misheard you, but did you say you need the nine engine variant of the upper stage to perform an abort to orbit scenario?
Probably, you probably need that extra thrust to do it.
Maybe, but also I think on the contrary to that, Flight 12 had a great demo of engine out capability in getting to basically where it needed to go. Granted, I don't whether or not they
The
didn't
booster got it
perform.
there though. That's the problem. What if your booster
What do
has
you mean
an
booster got
issue
it there?
halfway up? What then?
Ship had to get everywhere else it had to get to.
So if your super heavy fails halfway up and you detach, say Seco, hot stage, go away. If you're taking 100, 150 tons with you, does the ship have enough delta V to get into orbit so it then can orbit Earth and then return? Or maybe it stays in orbit and then they have to then it if hopefully you have the prop and the capability and the altitude in order to dock with the depot to get prop or something. That's the question on that. Can a ship with 9 engines, or can a ship as a whole, with loaded, if the booster fails halfway up, can it get to orbit? I don't
Well,
think
not
it can.
maybe not to
I know,
orbit, but maybe if like shuttle, you have
well,
downrange landing sites for
oh,
use in emergency situations. Granted, I know there are not any of those right now, but we're talking to a point where
But
Starship is launching people regularly. Maybe there's
where are you
based
going
on
to,
how
by the
much fuel
way?
you have left in
The
case a
moon.
problem occurs. You may
here's the
have
problem with
Okay.
that.
the performance to make that.
Again, here's the problem with that. So, say
Oh, there you
you
go.
burn a little bit longer with the ship. Say you burn a little bit with the ship, okay? Um, and you burn off some of your prop. All right, you're still trying to re-enter the atmosphere with maybe 1,000 tons of cryogenic prop. You're not going to be able to vent that off in time before you re-enter. That's not happening. There are no sticks that are capable of catching a ship loaded with that much prop. You will break the chopsticks, or you'll
I'm just gonna
damage them
say
in
one
some
thing.
way.
Even shuttle RTLS needed to not dump, but like burn the propellant for a long time, because that was the only way
It did.
for the easter for the external tank. Excuse me. I was thinking Eastern time. External
Yeah,
tank to separate away, because if it was heavy, it will it will risk the recontact with the orbiter. So they needed
Yep.
to burn
I need some
multiple
crappy
times
rocket that
really
destroys
fast,
itself.
such that
That destroys
at at
itself with it.
at Nico with
That
the
destroys.
engines, they will have
I can't.
enough oomph, enough velocity to come back to the
I
pad
do like some
and have
crappy
the
rocket
external
that
tank
destroys
burn
itself in
on
2
however many
milliseconds of
engines they
taking
have.
off.
If it was two
Ew.
engines, one engine will have been complicated if early in the flight. It will have been like near the end of the RTLS window, basically, with just one engine. But it might have been possible. Otherwise, it will have been it's called two out blue or something like that.
Two out blue. Yep.
Yeah, that was scary. There's a simulator, like a simulation recording out there about them simulating a two out blue situation where two engines go out, and now you are only on one engine, and then you need to basically dump the orbiter, like you just bail out.
Yeah.
Quick question. We are seeing that long vent from the common dome area, so is that going to be the final depress vent for today?
that is likely the depress vent for the LOX tank. So once this is done, which is odd, the surface structure LOX vent didn't open. Maybe I don't know. maybe they're trying to
Somebody,
conserve as much locks as they can. Either way, they're depressing the tanks at this point, so we are pretty close to them safing this vehicle and getting the rotary open. Probably within, I don't know, probably within the next like 10, 15 minutes. We'll see if the road opens or something like that, and then, of course, we're in the middle of the closure for Ship 40 to roll, so. And Booster
Yeah.
21 is very close to
I was
Remedios.
I was better at some those cones.
So it'll make that turn into Remedios in like the next 5 minutes. And then it'll be parked in the ring yard within the next 20. So kind of lines up perfectly. I think if Booster 20 is good to go, which I think it's good to go at this rate, based off that test and kind of what I'm thinking, a ship could roll at 2:15.
I may be completely overbuilding
Rolls around
this.
there, something like that.
I will say one
I,
thing, just
oh, go on.
sort of, because it's sort of related to the recent flight that we had, and going back to a little bit of that conversation that we had about aborts and things like that. Somebody mentioned abort to orbit. That's what you saw in Flight 12.
I was gonna say that. I was literally gonna say that. Alex, you stole my thing. You stole my thing. I was gonna say that.
What?
I was gonna say that Flight 12 was an abort to orbit because it got to
Well,
orbit
should have
without an
said it
engine.
earlier. Should have said it
I
earlier.
was gonna say it, but Ryan was talking.
That was STS 51F, right?
Yes.
I was gonna say it. You took my thing.
Like there are definitely situations in where Starship will definitely be able to abort to orbit, like
You
Flight
took my thing.
basically did with Flight 12.
You should make the boosters a little bit
Which
taller. I can't.
all Flight 12 would need to do to get to orbit is again burn the other 5 engines for a little bit longer. It's again with all these suborbital tests, if they just burn the engines for slightly longer, they make it to orbit. Um, but basically, I think the biggest case on what happens is whether or not is if something happens with the booster like early on in flight or something or whatnot, and then the ship has to kind of compensate for it. I don't know. I'm curious to know if it can. We'll find out one day.
We will.
At some with how much they want to launch, eventually it will. Again, I'm still utterly astonished
Well,
that
I,
Falcon 9 has not had a stage 1 ascent fail.
I wouldn't want to put it like, oh, we're bound to find out at some point when Starship fails. Like I don't want to think about it like that. I think at some point we will learn from. I think
Just look for
SpaceX
fuel boosters
will
if you
tell you
wanna.
what their plans are in the
Yeah,
event
but
that they have to have to separate the vehicles unscheduled if they need to. If there was an issue with the booster. Um, yeah, I'd rather not look at it like, oh, one day we'll find out when the
250
booster blows up on the way
versus
up. Like that's just that feels dark.
205.
Yeah, and like on the Falcon side of the argument, I mean, I think the fact that it has been so successful today
I
is
made
testament
a
to SpaceX's
microjet.
engineering. Like they've done a good job
Yep.
and they've made a good rocket. That's why, this isn't a game of. I mean, a part of it is a game of luck and it's a game of chances. But though that luck can be increased if you have a team, a company of thousands of very smart people, which SpaceX does to make the impossible possible. This company is making sci-fi reality.
Assuming this is it.
And mind you, Falcon has had its share of issues on the way up. Like it has suffered engine outs on the way up before in the first stage, and it's
Well, that
able to
looks
get the ship to where it
nice.
needs to go.
Indeed. We are seeing that depress venting continue from Booster 20. Cybertruck at the roadblock at Highway 4. Very quickly, Cornbreadimus, thank you for your support. Same to you, Drunar. Very appreciative for everybody supporting the stream monetarily today. And of course, to all of you for tuning in and just watching in chat and doing the things and rightfully complaining about Jerry Pike microwaving his tea, which I'm never going to forget. Let's see. Okay,
Oh, the
with
files.
that, I think we should probably promote. We will have a countdown to launch show in a few minutes' time later today, so make sure to tune in for that at what is that? 4 o'clock in the afternoon Central Time, 5 o'clock Eastern. What's that plus
Yes,
five?
it does.
2200 sorry, 2100 UTC. There we go. Bingo.
Or
Maths live on stream.
or Eastern, Ryan.
4 Eastern.
4
90
Eastern. I
minutes.
thought it was 4 Central.
Event.
It's sometime later today. Look on YouTube. You'll find out. If you want to know exactly when it'll be, follow us on the socials. There you go. Great plug. We're everywhere on all the different socials, all the different channels, all the different things. Search for NASA Spaceflight. You'll find us there. And of course, tomorrow we will have in 28 hours, 11 minutes, and 38 seconds. Fingers crossed, the launch of Starship Flight 13. Building up to that launch, we will have our Starship stakeout starting 9 hours before launch, and then our full-on launch coverage starting 3 hours before launch. Make sure to set your notifications so you don't miss that. But with that, that's all the pimping things out of the way. Alex, thanks for being on. Thanks for your expertise.
Yeah, it was a pleasure. Hopefully we get a launch tomorrow.
Same to you, Ryan. Thanks for hanging out, talking about Starship.
Pleasure as always, and just as we end, road is open. So there you go. No one at the roadblock anymore.
Hey.
So next step, of course, is Booster 21's rolling down Remedios. So we should hopefully see Ship 40 roll to the pad within the next few hours. And I will see you all on Countdown to Launch in like 90 minutes or so. So yeah.
Max, thank you for rolling out to the Rocket Ranch outpost.
I'm very glad to. Absolutely. And yeah, 28 hours away, just over 1 day away now from the open of the launch window tomorrow.
YouTube
Hoping
video
all
is
goes well
blocking
on our
it.
part and we
What?
see Starship Flight 13 finally off the ground.
Thank you to the Starbase Live team operators, as usual, for moving all of our wonderful robotic cameras. I don't need to thank them because they are not conscious. They are just electrical machines. Jake Egan, thank you for pushing the buttons. Roger was on
Where do you want me to
technical
put it
difficulties as
then?
well. I think that's everybody. Forgive me if I've forgotten someone. I'll bring the mic Caton for NSF. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you later for Countdown to Launch.
The little green icon with the dribble.
And here we go.
I know. Where do you want me to put this then?
There's the W. Here's ignition.
Yeah.
Did you just do a Kerbal?
Back to the moon and beyond.
Alright, why is that kind of fire?
Put that in the big bag, you know. Back at home, we all have a lot of work to do, but from here, this sure looks like a perfect world.
Propulsion continues to be normal.
We did have an observation. 343 unfolds to go.
It's orange!
Water towers can fly!
Bingo! Right in the center.
Where's Jacqueline? There it is!
That was surreal.
That's not what we want to see.
No!
Oh my god.
Yikes, you bet. Sure. We don't need any more of these.
A blue Kerbal square? Where? At the top left? I don't see one. Oh. Kinda wanna play something else, not gonna lie. Oh, I thought the ship moved. Alright. Who is this? Oh, I 30 followers. So you're gonna play it so fast? I don't know what I should play. There's four. There's three. Hmm. What is this? I want to check some time up on YouTube. There's copyright. What country should I play as? Play as? I'll change the temperature real quick. Where is it? I should pay Wi Fi, but it's 80 gigabytes. I, I, do not play War Thunder. Seriously, don't. No, don't. I'm gonna get some water. I'm too lazy to mute my mic, so. Also, there's sound awaits. We have TTS and stuff. Don't even think about spamming it. Right. Do you trust Jeff? Yeah. Alright. We're broke, damn. Do you trust his building skills? I mean, he don't make the rockets. So.